everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we're really excited today. We have a special episode of the podcast. We're talking books and movies today. And to start it off, we are going to be previewing the March rom-coms and Hallmark movies. And to do this, I have with me Toni Shiloh. And thank you so much, Toni, for coming on and talking with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So you're an author. And how many books have you published at this point?
I think I'm at 31.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely a dream job.
Do you think that it becomes easier the more you do or like harder to keep coming up with ideas or what do you think?
That's a really good question. I feel like my brain shows up quicker than it did at the beginning. Like I
Uh-huh.
have all these ideas, but I still feel that same pressure of, is this book gonna resonate with my readers? Are they gonna love it? Like I
Uh-huh.
still get all the angst when I'm waiting for my release.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Well, it's just so it's even in with the podcast, it's so unpredictable. Like I have so many times when I'm like, I try to enjoy everything that I do, but I think, oh, this is just a normal episode, and then it does really well, and then when I'm like, oh, this is a sure thing, everyone's gonna love this, it doesn't do that well. So go figure. But yeah, so what we're going to do today is we are going to preview the March movies and then we're going to talk about your new book. So that is going to be really fun. And let's dive in. And what we usually do what we usually do on this podcast is give uh, what we usually do in this podcast is we give a rating for like how excited we are. So in for this one, since it's March, we'll give like what's a March? What's a March thing like flower? Well, so this one, since it's March, we'll do flowers. So what 1 to 4 flowers of excitement, 4 being most excited, one not really very excited. So
Okay, sounds great.
okay, all right. So we have a royal theme, and you've written royal books. That's part of the reason I thought of you. How do you feel about the royal movies?
I adore royal movies. I can't get enough of them.
What do you like about them?
I think I like how it feels like, that fairy tale aspect.
Yeah,
Um, it's not necessarily real life for the average person. But then you get a glimpse into how the royals deal with things and you realize, they still have the same hopes and dreams
yeah,
as we do. So I don't know, there's still a commonality between us.
yeah. The escapism, kind of the Cinderella
Yes.
element is fun.
The
Yeah.
dresses.
Oh yeah, the dresses. That's true. That is a key moment for me. Is does the dress moment pay off? It's just a, whoa, kind of a thing.
Yes.
Because sometimes it's like, oh, you went on the cheap. This is not it's not a great dress. But yeah, you want that fairy tale moment. Uh,
Definitely.
yeah.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
All right. Well, let's dive in The first one is on the 1st of March, and it's called The Royal We. And it stars Mallory Jansen and Charlie Carrick and director Claire Niederprum, who's done a bunch of Hallmark movies, writer C.J. Cox. When her older sister elopes with a non-royal, Princess Bee, who has lived her life away from her royal duties, must now step in and honor the arranged marriage to a small kingdom prince. And there is a trailer for this. And let's see here. This writer, let's see if he's done other stuff. Let's see here. Oh yeah, he's done a lot. He's done some interesting stuff. He did a movie called "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," which was a little bit quirky. R.A.P. in Time, which was definitely quirky. Love Strikes Twice, The Makeover. Those are all pretty good Hallmark movies. So interesting. And of course, yeah, Claire has directed a bunch of Hallmark movies, including she did her pen pal, which was also starring Mallory Jansen. So they worked together. So that's interesting. What do you think about this idea? So it's in got this arranged marriage to a small kingdom prince.
Yeah, really, you had me at arranged marriage. I love the idea of two people thrown together and then trying to figure out if they fall in love. And I looked at the trailer and it looks adorable. I'm
Yeah.
definitely going to be watching that one. So I'll say
Yeah.
$4.
Yeah, and this Charlie Carrick, he's I think new to Hallmark. Let me see here. Yeah, I'm not seeing any other Hallmark movies. So welcome to Hallmark. He looked very charming in this trailer, and it looked like the chemistry is going to be good.
Yes.
And so yeah, I definitely I felt the same. I thought, oh, this is going to be fun. So they're in their arranged marriage, and it turns out they end up actually liking each other.
I
So
know, like what more
that's
can we want?
yeah, this I think I am I think this might be my most excited for of these movies, these royal
Ooh.
movies. Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. Well, there's three of them. And so then we have the reluctant royal. Oh wait, I forgot. So I think I would give this the 4 flowers.
Yeah,
This one. I think it looked really cute, and they definitely sold it well in that preview.
definitely.
Yeah. Okay. What would you give it?
I'm definitely giving it 4 flowers as well.
Okay, good. All right. So then we have the Reluctant Royal. This is on the 8th of March, and this stars Andrew Walker and Emily Day Ravine. Writer, we don't know if it was necessarily written by Andrew Walker, but it said that in one of the publications, it said this new movie filmed in Ireland is an extra special one for longtime Hallmark star Andrew Walker, who was instrumental in its writing and development. So he was at least part of the story process. So that's fun. Philly mechanic Johnny is surprised to learn that his long lost father is a duke, but the duke isn't quite what he expected, nor are his growing feelings for the duke's advisor Prudence. Now, for me, when I watched this trailer, I felt like this movie should have been cast with younger actors. Just the whole like we're both sort of rebellious, it's like to me that does not feel like the behavior of a 40-year-old. Both these actors are over 40. It
Right.
would make sense that they were playing the parents of the rebellious younger person, not the younger, like all of their behavior to me in the trailer felt like the behavior of a young person, not a person in their 40s. So that is a little bit reticent. And to be honest, I love Andrew Walker as a human, but he is extremely inconsistent as far as his projects. There there are a lot of misses for me in his filmography. Last year he had the Staring at Walls movie where they were in Malta, but they spent most of the movies staring at walls. So I'm reluctant about the Reluctant Royal. How do you feel?
So I feel a little bit differently,
Okay.
mostly because I love Andrew Walker. Um, Even though I may not love every single movie he's in, I don't know. There's just something about his acting that keeps me entertained.
Uh-huh.
Um, I can see what you mean about the rebellion and the age, but it also looks like it might have some comedic moments.
Mm.
So I'm there for that. I
Uh-huh.
definitely want to laugh, and
Yeah.
see if he becomes a good royal and not just
Yeah.
reluctant.
Let's see if I'm looking here if Emily has done any Hallmark. I'm looking.
I think she
Let's
her
see here.
name sounds familiar.
Yeah. Well, she was on the show Lost, and she was on Once Upon a Time. She played Belle on Once
Love
Upon a
that.
Time.
Probably what I remember.
Yeah, I think this is her first Hallmark movie, so that's fun. Looking here. Maybe she has a really old one. Yeah, I don't see any. So that's cool that she's in there. It'll be interesting to see if they have chemistry because we've never seen this pairing before,
Yeah, that'll
you
be fun.
know. And like I said, I really like Andrew. I think is a good, very good person and a really nice person. But uh I think he should be glad that he has the Curious Caterer and the Three Wiser Men. He has those two series because
Right.
I think he's able to really shine. But yeah, like his Africa movie, I really didn't like that one at all. He's just he, inconsistent for me. But it's interesting that this, I think, I don't know if it's his first time in the story or writing department and developing a project. So that's kind of fun. It's gonna be interesting to see what he does. But that was my when I watched the trailer, I was just very like, this feels like the behavior of younger people than they were cast. But if in the end that doesn't really matter if they do have chemistry and the banter is on point,
Yeah.
and like you said, that it ends up being funny and getting that humor, which I like to see. So I'm going to give this one a 2 in my excitement level. But what do you think?
I'm gonna give it a three. Three
Yeah.
flowers.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So then we have Royalish, and this is on the 15th, and it stars Nicole Sakura and William Mosley. This is based on the book by Terry Wilson. Once upon what was
Royal Summer.
yes, yeah. And it's Lacey is an amusement park princess who befriends 8-year-old Rose, a real life princess, and is recruited by her handsome father to travel to their kingdom and be the new governess. And so let's see here. Lacey's amusement park. Oh, 8-year old Rose's dad is the prince, and so she's recruited at the amusement park to come and be the governess. So we got like a kind of a Sound of Music thing going on here a little bit, Mary Poppins. And I did read this book, and it was very enjoyable. And so that they've got a good place to start. And these actors I don't know at all, so that's kind of fun.
So Nicole, she was on Superstore. She's Cheyenne, if you've
Oh,
ever seen
okay.
Superstore. But and I think William, I think, is from Chronicles of Narnia, is he not?
Oh, you're right. Let's see here. I'm looking it up. So they don't have very okay. Oh, you're right. He totally was. I missed that. And he was in the Notting Hill movie, Christmas in Notting Hill.
Oh, I
So
didn't see that one.
he has done a Hallmark movie. So that's interesting. Yeah, I never watched Superstore. So because I like if it's not on a Hallmark, I don't watch very much television.
That's okay. I don't think you're.
because I watch more movies than series. Uh, and yeah, I'm looking to see. She hasn't, I don't think, done anything for Hallmark. So anyway, yeah, that's going to be interesting. What do you think about this?
I'm super excited because I read the book as
Yeah.
well. So the moment I was like, oh, they turned this into a movie, I want to know how it goes. Plus, like you
Uh-huh.
said, it's the whole governess, royal aspect was definitely feels like a nod to The Sound of Music.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting to see if they have chemistry, if the banter's good. I think that'll make a big deal. It kind of reminds me of Crown for Christmas,
Yeah.
with Danica. And I that's one of my favorites. I love that one.
And then too,
So
how the 8-year-old, how what kind of drama she might bring in.
yeah.
That could be fun.
And if she's cute.
Yes.
Um, which yeah, again reminds me of Crown for Christmas. So if they can bring some of that energy in, then I think that it could be really good. So I'm gonna give this one a 4 as well. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, same. I definitely agree.
Yeah, yeah,
Four
yeah.
flowers.
It could be a really good. I know a lot of people kind of groan when they see the royal movies, but when they hit, they really hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it could be a good March. A good March. Okay, so then we have a different series that starts in March. It's the Hearts Around Table series. And so I'm not sure exactly what that means, Hearts Around Table. Like if it's about, I don't know if it's about chefs or cooking or something, or who knows what Hearts Around Table means. We don't have a trailer yet, but this is the first one is on the 22nd, and it stars Ashley Newbrow, Steve Lund, Mindy Cohn, who's in all of these, Mindy Cohn. Jenna plans a charity event for billionaire Tom Redlands, but working with Tom's right hand, Andrew, is proving difficult, especially since Jenna and Andrew have romantic history. So that sounds really fun, actually. I like that plot.
Yeah, definitely. There's something about the second chances and meeting
Yeah.
the first love again that you're like,
Uh-huh.
okay, like what's your deal? Why'd you break up? How are you going to overcome this? Like, give me all the details.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's just like it makes it easy to get that spark right away because there's a little bit of antagonism between
Yeah.
the two. So it kind of just helps things going, I think.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
so yeah, and I just interviewed Ashley. I didn't know about this. So I would have asked her. She's become like the series person because she did the Love Club Moms and she did the Unwrapping series. So it's becoming her thing.
Yeah, but I think it's because we really like her. She's got that, I don't know, she's
Yeah.
got a charisma about her
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
makes you just want to watch like, okay, what's gonna happen?
Yeah. Well, and I will, of course, everyone who listens to this podcast knows I will forever love her for Snowman's, which is one of my all-time faves. I love Snowman so much. So I actually think this sounds pretty fun, this plot. So I would give this one a 3. I'm gonna give it a 3.
That's a good question. Um, I think I'm going to give it a 3 as well.
Okay.
I want more. I want to see a trailer. Like,
Yeah. Well, we're still early in, and as we always say, these previews mean nothing. We haven't seen the movie, so it's just a it's just a guess, it's just a guess, and we don't know the director or the writers, and that helps a lot too to kind of get an idea of what it might be like. So Hearts Around the Table, Sherry's second act. This is on the 29th. This stars Michelle Morgan, and Brendan Morgan and Mindy Cohn. And it's Sherry just moved back to DC after a breakup and hopes to start painting again. Inspiration hits when she meets Evan, a repairman who winds up actually being a gallery owner. So, what do you think about this?
I'm actually really excited about this. I really liked Christmas with a Kiss because that's what she's from, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
this is for Heartland fans. This is not Michelle Morgan from Heartland. This is Michelle Morgan, who was in the Christmas with a Kiss. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
and it's in DC, so I kind of like that vibe as well.
yeah, that's fun. We get to see Vancouver pretending to be DC. That'll be good. It sounds pretty generic to me as far as the plot. Like not a whole lot to get like super excited just about the plot, but it's all about chemistry. And so let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think Brendan has done a Hallmark movie. Let's see here. Oh, he was in Meet Me Next Christmas, which was Netflix, but oh, I guess no, he has done a bunch. Never mind. He was in Christmas with a Kiss.
Yeah, I didn't even
So it's a
recognize him for a
return of
second.
both of them.
Yeah.
That could be good. That could be good.
Now I'm
Um,
even more intrigued.
yeah. So I would give this one like a 2.5. I'm right in the middle on it. The plot sounds very generic, but that doesn't matter if they are cute and have good chemistry and the banter is good.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean towards a 3 just because I like the actor lineup.
Yeah. All right. So then we have Mystery Island, Winner Takes All, and this is on the 13th on Hallmark Mystery. And the stars Elizabeth Henstridge, Charlie Weber, Kristen Booth. Mystery Island hosts contest winners vying to solve a fake murder for a grand prize. But the event goes awry when an employee is murdered and secrets are uncovered. Do you watch the mysteries? Are you a mystery
I
person?
I generally don't, yeah. No.
Okay. Have you ever written a mystery?
I haven't. I've thought about it, but no.
Okay. So you didn't see the first Mystery Island.
I didn't.
Okay. Well, it was actually pretty good. Pretty good at like laying down the clues and building it was trying to do kind of a Agatha Christie-esque type story.
Mhm.
And so for these mystery shows, like it was pretty good. So it's going to be interesting to see them come back to it because it's been what was the first Mystery Island? Let me see here. Let's see here. Okay, so the first Mystery Island movie was in 2023. So we've had 2 years
Okay.
since the first one. So it's going to be interesting to see them go back. And if they got the whole team, I think, back. And yeah, I think it's not like my favorite kind of thing. I tend to think a lot of times those Agatha Christie-esque mysteries tend to be really exposition heavy. So they start to kind of lose me. And I feel like her stories are the king of like how on earth could anybody have figured those things out? Like you get this long scene with this like huge thing of exposition and you're like nobody could have known that. Like how would you have possibly figured it out? But so it's an interesting genre. But I would give this one 3. I'm actually pretty excited about it. I think it sounds fun.
Yeah. I would give it a 2. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like I need to go and see the first one in order
Mm,
to truly look forward to this one.
yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Today's episode of the podcast is sponsored by W Rated, the podcast where we willingly watch the world's worst rated movies. Join me, Daisy,
and me, Claire, as we break down the IMDb Bottom 100, choosing a different film from the list every episode.
We take a deep dive into the plot, production, release, and reviews, usually with a special guest, to uncover if these films are truly as bad as everyone says they are.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple, Good Pods, and anywhere else you find your podcasts.
Right, there are at least that I could find there aren't really any features coming out. I'm sure there are. I couldn't find them because there were tons in February as far as features to Netflix or other places. There's only one, and it's Snow White is coming out on the 21st. This stars Rachel Zegler, Gal Gadot, director Mark Webb, writer Aaron Cressida, Wilson, Dorothy Ann Blank, and Richard Creedon. A live action adaptation of the 1937 Disney animated film Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And for a while, it looked like they were like really moving away from it being a romance because it's Disney, modern Disney. You know that if you want a powerful woman, they're not allowed to fall in love. Evidently, is Disney's current philosophy. But according to Rachel Zegler, she says the love story is integral. A lot of people wrote that we weren't doing that storyline anymore, but we were always doing that. It just wasn't what we were talking about on that day. So we'll see. I'm still pretty skeptical as far as the romance side of it. And I'm just skeptical on all sides of this movie. I think it looks absolutely atrocious. The trailers have been horrible. And like there's so many things. Like, of course, Rachel Zegler is a beautiful person, beautiful, but if you're gonna have Gal Gadot, like, is there anyone more beautiful than Gal Gadot, like, in the world? And
I don't know, she's gorgeous.
She's gonna be looking into that mirror saying, "Fairest, who's the fairest of them all?" And they're gonna say Rachel Zegler, who's a very pretty person, but come on, ridiculous.
But I get the vibe from the trailer that it's gonna be like a heart thing, right? Like a personality,
Yeah.
not necessarily the looks, because like you said, it's Gal. She's gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, come on. And everything with the dwarfs has been a complete mess. And so they were originally planning them to be played by little people, but then Peter Dinklage was talking about how it was ridiculous that they were really going to have dwarfs in this movie in 2025. And so then they changed it and they were going to be all different heights. But then people were upset about that because they were like, well, you just took all these roles away from little people actors. And then now I think they're like they're like, I think CGI creations. They're not even actors
They kind of
anymore.
look like
It's a total mess. And I mean, this thing looks absolutely terrible to me. And you have Rachel Zegler saying that that they need to modernize the character, that she what was her actual quote? It was terrible. And it's just like, she was not a weak character, Snow White, in the original film. They said she's saying like, oh, that she was waiting around for a man, and I'm like, what are you talking about? She wasn't waiting around for a man. She, I mean, unless you count when she was asleep, but that's not fair. She was asleep. She goes out into the forest and she helps, the dwarfs. She even wins over Grumpy in the end. So that's the thing that annoys me so much about these live action remakes, is that they're not just trying to do their own thing. Like, I really wish that they took the same philosophy that they had with Once Upon a Time, where it's like, okay, we're paying homage and we're talking about all those favorite moments and but we're working it into something new, something fresh, a new story. I wish that was the approach that they took. And instead, it's like, we're apologizing for our classics. We're embarrassed by our movies. And that makes me very sad, especially as a huge animation fan. And especially that this is their first animated classic. This is like, to apologize for that, like a game changer movie, to me is like, what are you doing? Like, what is, and to be honest, I'm a little surprised that they didn't just send this to Disney Plus, because I don't think it's going to do that well.
I don't know, because there's always people who are gonna watch just to out of curiosity's sake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really loved their version of Cinderella.
Oh
Um,
yeah, that's one of the best ones.
it is. So part of me wants to watch to hope it would be that
Yeah.
good, but I don't know. The trailer didn't win me over. Um,
Yeah.
I actually probably would wait for it to go to Disney Plus versus spending movie money at the movies to watch it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I also didn't get a hint of the romance from the trailer.
Yeah. Well, and Rachel Zegler, she says she's not going to be saved by the prince and is not going to be dreaming about true love
Ugh,
because a woman can't want to fall in love in 2025. That's not allowed. It, like the only way to be a feminist in 2025 evidently is to be alone. Makes me crazy. I hate that so much. And I mean, I guess that Snow White is saved by the prince because she is asleep.
right.
But like every other aspect of her character in that movie isn't some kind of like simple isn't a damsel in distress. I would never describe Snow White in the original film as a damsel in distress.
Agreed.
Yeah. It's so it just makes me crazy. And who knows? Like I ended up liking the Little Mermaid movie, which I thought looked terrible. I mean, it did look terrible even in the finished film, but they had such good chemistry and she was so good that it won me over. So who knows? Maybe I'll go into Snow White with such low expectations
That it wins you over.
maybe it'll win me over. I always try to keep an open mind. Otherwise, what's the point? Like, that's not
Sure.
fair for me as a critic to like just be completely against something. But yeah, this one I am giving a 0. I have no excitement for it. I don't know. How do you feel?
Um, I would give it a 1 for like curiosity's sake. Like I grew up watching all of those, so
Mm-hmm.
I've seen almost all of the
Yeah.
things. Even
And
if
so the Cinderella, that's your favorite.
I don't know, because The Little Mermaid was really good too.
Yeah, it was good.
Um,
It was definitely top tier.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
in that top part. I really loved the Pete's Dragon. I thought that was very good. But I would rather watch almost anything than watch that Beauty and the Beast remake again. I would do almost anything to avoid that. It was so bad. I hated it so much.
There are definitely some parts in there that made me cringe. Like, I'm not gonna lie. When
Yeah,
he started singing, um, I was not
yeah, it was
expecting
rough.
that. Yeah.
And the thing about that made it especially rough is that is that they had her singing terribly and but everybody else around her, all the ensemble, most of the other co-stars, all good singers. And so it just made her auto-tuned bizarre singing sound even worse.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, like if everybody had been kind of like with Mamma Mia, let's say, like Mamma Mia, pretty much everybody's kind of at like a decent level, like except for Pierce Brosnan. But like they're all kind of somewhat mediocre.
Right.
Like nobody's like amazing Broadway singer. And so it doesn't stand out. Or La La Land, they're all kind of at the same level. So it like at least it's consistent. But but yeah, also the director of this, Mark Webb, he is incredibly inconsistent with his directing. He did 500 Days of Summer, which is a favorite of mine. But he did yeah, he did 500 Days of Summer, which is a favorite of mine. But then he did the Amazing Spider-Man movies. He did which is not my favorite. Um, so anyway, we'll see what he can do with this. Um, but yeah, I, so what will you end up giving it?
1.
On, yeah. Well, let us know what you think about all of these and how many flowers you would give. If you're listening, what you would give to these. We'd love to hear.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
All right, let's talk about your new book. This is very exciting. So, The Nature of Love is just coming out. So, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about the book, what to expect?
Sure. So The Nature of Love is book 3 in the Love in the Spotlight series, where each hero kind of ends up in the spotlight. So in this one, my hero, Chris Gamble, is a wildlife conservationist, but he's also a YouTube star. And he meets twice Dr. Erica Kennedy, who's an orthopedic surgeon. Um, I feel like they meet at the right time because she has no friends and is going to end up needing a friend. I don't want to give it away. Um, and so the thing I love about them is like their instant like chemistry, but the banter, um, their friends to more journey, and the fact that they're both, 40 plus, which you don't see a lot in books.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So she's 41, the lead character. That does feel unique. What kind of inspired you to have an older character as your lead?
One of the things I like to do is just, listen sometimes to what readers are asking for. And I am seeing a lot more readers ask for 40 plus heroes and heroines. And so I was like, okay, I'm in that age bracket now. Maybe I can speak to it and not sound like an idiot.
Yeah. Well, and I think loneliness as a whole was the theme of the book. Was what kind of brought you to wanting to write about that?
I feel like over the past few years, I've met so many people going through varying degrees of loneliness, whether it's like I have a bunch of friends, but I still feel lonely for some reason, or they don't have the community and they're lonely. So I just kind of wanted to explore like different reasons why people would feel lonely, and how like needing someone is okay. Like you need people.
Again, in going to what we're talking about with Disney is like they act like the desire to have a partner is somehow like not empowering, is somehow like a bad thing, but like I think all of us want to have companionship. I mean, it's just part of being human.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're not made to be alone. We're not. So whether it's a romantic relationship or just friendship, like you want people who fill those roles.
Yeah. So this story is definitely like a friends to lovers story. Do you find that is a hard trope to write?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's so funny because so many readers love this trope.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but it doesn't work very well as a book. Because you get so many times them saying they don't want to ruin the friendship.
Yeah.
And it's like, please don't hit me over the head with that again. Like, I get it. You're great friends. Like, you don't want to ruin. I get it, but there's got to be something else stopping you.
Yeah.
So, and then two, I'm normally when I write, I like that instant attraction, kind of trope. Probably because my own love story was like that. So it feels difficult to slow people down, and make them slowly evolve and fall in love.
Yeah. I mean, it is frustrating. Like it's enticing, but also kind of makes me crazy to read Friends to Lovers because it's just like, oh my gosh, like what is wrong with you?
Exactly.
So that doesn't surprise me. Would you say for like the major tropes where you have like enemies to lovers, you have like fake fiance, things like that? Do you think that Friends to Lovers is the hardest one?
Yes,
Yeah.
without a doubt,
Yeah.
definitely.
Just like, how can you not realize that this person is madly in love with you? Like, come on. Yeah. Now, this book is, I think, well, I haven't read all of your books, but from the ones I read, this one is the saddest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what was that like to write a pretty sad story?
Um, it's interesting because I, for so many years, like I've been battling depression, anxiety, like related to health issues. So when I read, I want that happy, like I want that escapism. So then to find myself writing a book that is sad, um, I didn't want it to be too heavy, for the people dealing with something heavy in their own lives. But I also wanted to show like there's we all have something that we're
Mhm.
going through,
Yeah.
um, and how friendship can help you through those tough times. So it was really tough balancing act, I think, for me to make sure that I wasn't dumping heavy, but showing light as well.
Yeah. This is also more religious than the other books that I have read. Like they have had some, but this is pretty religious, I would say.
Um, yeah, it's funny because I always label myself as a Christian romance writer. So I don't think that surprises many people, but yeah, for whatever reason, this one definitely leans more.
Hmm.
But I feel like I'm not preaching at a person. Like
No.
I'm just showing the journey, and letting the reader
Yeah.
still come to their own conclusion.
Well, and it would make sense that an older character would have be dealing with some of these more weighty themes because life happens.
Yeah.
you know that hopefully most of us are spared from that kind of trauma when we're really young, but by the time you're in your 40s things have happened.
Yeah, it's the unfortunate side of aging. Life it feels like it attacks you.
Yeah.
You're like, why? Like, why this person has this, that person has that, and since you're all interconnected, you just
Mhm.
feel the weight of it.
Yeah. But I don't want people to think this is like a downer book because it's not. It just has some drama. And I thought this was a really swoony scene. This was the one I chose to highlight is you have every nerve ending came alive. I could either gather the courage to say that what was on my heart or kiss him. Oh, great idea. Kissing him would be easier. You wouldn't have to say anything, but just lean forward and pucker your lips like they do in the movies. So that was a fun segment. And especially getting into her brain. And that's something that you can do in novels that you can't really do very well in movies. So what was that like to write?
I love her inner monologue because
Yeah.
I'm a little like that in real life. Like I have a lot more to say in my head than I would out loud. So it was fun exploring a character to do the same thing because,
Uh-huh.
sometimes our thoughts are the funniest, but not everyone gets to hear them. But like you said, in a book, like I can show that in spades and have the reader connect with the character more.
Yeah. So the character she ends up being a mother to these two kids. And so you had quite a bit of the kids. And I know like in the Prince movies, you don't really have kids in those. So like, what was that like writing these child characters?
I actually really enjoyed it. I feel like they brought a lot of the humor, the
Yeah.
lightness that the story needed. So I actually found myself laughing a few times while I was writing their characters, and then hoping that I wouldn't be the only one laughing when they read scenes from them.
Hmm. So with Christian, was it tricky to make him a nuanced character because he is pretty perfect as far as like a dream man. Um, and he talks a lot about like wanting to be an honorable man of God and a lot about honor and friendship. What was that like writing his character?
You're definitely right. I had to tweak him because, you know, the first round, the editor's like, he's a little too perfect. Um, but I wanted to show that like for him, honor meant something, considering some of the things he's been through. So in his case, I think he kind of used it as a crutch a little bit and had to be pulled away from that back into reality.
Mhm.
Like you can be honorable and still need help. Like you can be
Yeah.
honorable and take a rest.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. So how did you develop the idea for this book? How did it all happen?
So it's funny. I was at the end of my other contract, the ones with the Royal books, and it was time to think of new books. And so I had the idea of three standalone ideas was my thought because I know sometimes series don't do well with readers. And so I came up with three different ideas I thought would be fun to write. And this one I was like, oh yeah, definitely wanted the 40 plus, have some humor with the kids because kids always bring that. And then when I submitted them to the publisher, they're like, oh, this is great. Can you turn it into a series? So it was like back to the drawing board of how to connect these three books.
Yeah, yeah. So which number is this in the series?
This is number three. It's the final book. But
Oh, okay.
since it's character based, like you can read it on its own without.
Right. So were these characters in the second or first book?
They were. Uh,
Okay.
so the guys are the friends. So you meet them all in the first book. And then Erica, the doctor, she was introduced in the second book.
Mm. Is that fun to sort of think, okay, who's standing out? Who's somebody I could write, I could develop?
Yeah, it's definitely fun. I feel like even if I do try and write a standalone, there's always like some secondary character where I'm like, okay, I want to know more about you, like give you a story.
Hmm.
Um, and I'll have readers message me and they were like, oh, is so and so getting a story? Because I really love their character.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, why don't you tell the audience or like give their pitch for why a Hallmarkies listener will enjoy this book?
Ooh, great question. Um, Everything you love about a Hallmark movie, the feel, the sweetness, the chemistry, the meet cutes, all of that is in my book. I know that sometimes people hesitate when you hear that it's religious or it's faith-based, but I promise it's there to show you their journey and not infringe upon your own journey. Just, open the question and
Mhm.
dialogue of it all, but it definitely has the things you love in a Hallmark movie.
Yeah. It's a good way to put it. It does show their journey, but don't infringe on your journey. Yeah, it's not like a judgy book,
Right.
that everybody has to behave this way or whatever. Yeah, and I thought it was interesting to see Erica's how she is struggling with like she's just devoted everything to her career. She hasn't even barely been on a date, and what this trauma that happens like forces her to look at things in a new way.
Right. And I think that, I mean, doesn't that happen to most of us? Like we're going
Yeah.
on our own way and then something happens and like suddenly we're reevaluating everything. Like, have we spent our time wisely? Do we
Yeah.
need to pivot for whatever reason?
Yeah, because the thing is like your career is the one thing that you kind of can control.
Yes.
I mean, aside from getting laid off, which you can't control if that happens, but you can control like how hard you work. You can control, whereas like so much of especially relationships, obviously because you're dealing with another person, so you can't control the other person. So I think that's why it's easier to kind of sink into that and avoid the other stuff.
Definitely. Yeah, I feel like you just hit it on the nail with that one.
Yeah. So, well, if you all listening, if you get a chance to read the book, let us know what you think. And again, let us know what your flower rating were for all these upcoming March movies. And thank you so much, Toni, for coming doing this with me. I really appreciate it. And if people want to follow you on socials or anything, how do they do that?
Sure, you can find all my social links on tonishiloh.com. I'm most active on Facebook and Instagram.
And we'll have an affiliate link for the book in the description. So you definitely want to check that out. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes and on Goodreads. So check that out. And make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmark is Pod, Hallmark is Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really helps us a lot. And if you're watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We have a playlist with all of our author interviews. You definitely want to check that out, including our first interview with Toni from, I think, 2 years ago. I think something like that. Yeah. So you definitely want to check that out. And we have our Patreon group, which is the biggest way you can support us. And we have some really fun perks. And you can be part of watch-alongs and Q&As and other fun stuff. So check that out. And then we have our merch store, which has a ton of fun Hallmark-inspired designs. Take a look at that. And thanks so much again. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.